we put in caps lock on YouTube, so-and-so destroys so-and-so. We don't really mean it. But when Wes Huff went against Billy Carson, it was like, oh my goodness, call the doctor.
I sat down with Glenn Scrivener, the same Glenn Scrivener who got atheist, agnostic, biblical critic Bart Ehrman to concede this about Christianity.
This is the one area of Glenn's book that I completely agree with. Jesus preached service, and it was completely contrary to what the dominant paradigm was.
He also went toe-to-toe with one of the behemoths in the atheist versus Christian debate space, Matt Dillahunty. And not only held his own, but gave Matt Dillahunty what many would argue one of his only debate losses. You could say that Glenn has seen it all, but after watching what followed the debate between Wes Huff and Billy Carson, he had some strong words to say. And even pulled back the curtain about a personal conversation he had with Wes Huff about the debate.
So right before it all blew up. So he picked me up from the airport and I was like, what's going on in your world? And he said, what?
But before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan. This channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire you to live a life that blesses God. Sometimes that means we have guests on that are evangelists, apologists, pastors, authors, and we get their perspective on how these things apply to our day-to-day life. So if you're new here, or if you're not new here, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. As a huge percentage of the people that watch this channel, unfortunately, are not subscribed. Now, before we get into the Wes Huff debate, I had to get Glenn's insight from debating one of the most notorious atheist debaters, Matt Dillahunty. I have seen Matt Dillahunty do really well in certain debates. I've seen Matt Dillahunty rage quit, and I've seen Matt Dillahunty, I think, take a pretty big L in your conversation with him when he started. Specifically, I think it really went off the handles for him when he started straw manning Christianity and like, why does God like the smell of blood and all this
God sacrificed himself to himself for a weekend to fix everything for everyone.
Right. And you did this brilliant breakdown and just made it really simple of like, well, one of the roles that the priest had was he's also the butcher. And like the meat wasn't just like burnt and then discarded. They ate the meat, and the animal is literally symbolizing the death of an animal for the life of the people. Like the way you articulated that was so brilliant. And then I think he just, in my opinion, unraveled because he then gets into the thing that completely falls apart, which is like your worldview does not have any sort of virtue ethic. And so the question Justin finally asks him, like, can atheism or whatever you want to call it, secular humanism, present a better alternative? And he's like, I don't know. And debate lost, bro. Debate lost. How was that debate? What was it like? What was it like doing that in the moment? Did you feel like he failed and he lost, or was it like, oh, this is actually more of a back and forth?
Well, I mean, going into it, I thought I was on a hiding to nothing. I don't know why I said yes, except I've got some sort of self-harm tendencies clearly. But I said yes, and I remember the morning of the debate, I was giving a talk in Eastbourne, where I live on the south coast of England, and it was to a women's group they were all retirees, so that they're all grey-haired old grandmas in their 60s and 70s and 80s. And I just said to them at the end, I'm just off to London to debate this atheist, and they said, well, we will pray for you, won't we? And I thought that they meant I would go and catch the train, and they would pray. No. And they all stood together. Aww. And there were like nearly 100 old ladies sort of standing, and this one woman was sort of praying, holding onto the microphone. And I was just in the middle of that prayer thinking, you know what? Matt Dillahunty does not have a prayer. Like in very literally, he doesn't have a prayer. And like, I can go into this with a real freedom, and I could go into this because he knew nothing about me. Nobody knows anything about me, so I kind of have that as a blessing to debate others with. And then we got into the debate, and I thought I did okay. I thought I did quite well. But then the debate came out, and all his audience sort of came into the comment section. And
well, because at the time he was pretty high profile. He was higher profile than you were, and so you're gonna get just that cage stage atheist that's just mad at Christianity flooding the comments.
And so it's very, very interesting. And so you read the comments, and Glenn Scrivener was destroyed and all that kind of thing. Last year I was in Australia giving a series of talks, and on the first night, this guy came. He said he was new to faith, and he said, I almost didn't come when I heard that it was you speaking, because I heard the debate, back in the day when it came out. And I wondered, am I going to waste an evening on the guy that Matt Dillahunty destroyed? And so and he said, I came and I really enjoyed, what you said. I just wanted to encourage you that you've come a long way in the last 4 years. And so, like, I just let that. So tell me some more about your story. And he, it was a wonderful story about how in the last 12 months he's come to Christ.
Yeah.
And then just towards the end of the conversation, I just said, maybe have a look at the debate again and see what you think.
Yeah.
And then later in the week, he came back to me. He said, I don't know what I saw. I don't know what I was watching in 2020, but you totally destroyed Matt Dillahunty. Yeah. And so the same person watching the same debate, I guess he's not the same person, right? In one big sense.
Yeah.
And that makes you sort of see debates in a different way, doesn't it? That there is no neutrality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there's no neutrality here, and then the scriptures talk about specifically with the Jews, but like there's a veil over their eyes, right? Yeah. And so I think you do filter things through your current paradigm and worldview. Yeah. And so if your worldview is aligned with Matt Dillahunty's, you're gonna see it from a very specific paradigm that just is, in my opinion, just wasn't accurate.
Yeah, and I mean I saw that again with Wes Huff, going on with Billy Carson. And like never has anyone destroyed. like we put in caps lock on YouTube, so and so destroys so and so. We don't really mean it, but when Wes Huff went against Billy Carson, it was like, oh my goodness, call the doctor. Yeah. Like this is Ralph Wiggum style. Stop it, he's already dead. And that kind of got me to see that.
I have a massive update for you. I'm sure by this point, you've heard about the Blessed God Summit happening March 27th, 28th, 29th here in beautiful Carlsbad, California. But we've heard your requests. We've conceded to your demand. There are virtual tickets that are now available for the Blessed God Summit, so you can access it from anywhere in the world, as well as access to the replays. And for those of you guys that are looking for something extra, we're also offering a virtual ticket and an exclusive Bless God Summit merch bundle. There's some amazing art and some exclusive pieces done by our friend Josh Nadeau from Sword and Pencil that you have to check out. So join us online for the virtual event and experience some sessions from my favorite podcasters, pastors, and performers. We have a stacked lineup. I'm talking about Preston Perry, Dr. Sean McDowell, Inspiring Philosophy. What do you mean? Lila Rose, Alan Parr and his wife Jen Parr. We even have Nate Sala from Wise Disciple, Gavin Ortland, David Wood, Avery from God Logic Apologetics. And on the pastoral side, we have my friend Daniel Golding, Pastor Ed Newton from CBC in San Antonio, and my personal pastor from Rhythm Church, Pastor Jeff Moores and his wife Erin Moores. You won't want to miss out from amazing performances from America's Got Talent winner Dustin Savella, Billboard charting hip-hop artist John Keith, and Miles Minnick. And we're still finalizing a few more speakers. So head over to blessgod.shop, get your virtual ticket now, and you can get yourself a bundle with some of the exclusive merch as well. I'll see you over there, all right?
That kind of got me to see that there is something possible with debates where if somebody is all front and no substance, the kind of the exposing of a person can do immense good, because you just read the comment section underneath that debate and you see so many people who said, I don't know why I was following Billy Carson for so long, but now I've seen like the absolute vanity of it all, and I'm coming back to Jesus, or I'm trying church for the first time, and like extraordinary. I don't think I've seen a debate do as much spiritual good as that debate did.
I don't think I've seen a debate do as much spiritual good and also elevate someone's profile like that. And this is what I mean in a very little sense. I just was at the Apologetics Canada event with Wes. Okay, so he spoke, I spoke, and then we did a panel together. And then they were like, all right, we're going to give people 10, 15 minutes to come meet you guys. And so we just literally hopped off the stage and we're just in the front meeting people. And he was like a beetle.
Yeah,
he was smart, and I had a couple people come up and talk to me, and then it was almost like people lining up to talk to him. They just felt like, oh, Ruslan doesn't have anybody. He's like, let me get a picture with you, Ruslan. I had never.
What's Wes like?
I had never seen anything like that. I mean, he was just swarmed with people, and I was like, this is it. And Wes is such a cool guy, really, and he does not play into that celebrity thing in the slightest, because I think that's how you combat celebrity and like people who are now like, oh my gosh, you're so and so. Is that you just humanize them? Like you start talking about them and you lean into the conversation. And he's such a guy, but it was so wild to see that like in person. So not only are people coming to faith and detangling the foolishness they used to believe in, like this dude's kind of a celebrity, and here's the kicker, and I'm not saying that in a disparaging way or in a way to glorify celebrity, but like if there's anyone I want to be a celebrity, it's a Wes Huff. It's someone like you.
It's
It's
someone who
someone
doesn't
that did
want
the
to be.
work
Yeah.
and doesn't want to be a celebrity, and God just breathes on what they're doing.
Yeah.
And their profile lifts like that.
Which is kind of like the anti-Billy Carson kind of model, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like for whom celebrity was everything, and then there was no substance behind it. I think Wes Huff is the opposite of that. I went and did the Apologetics Canada thing in November.
Okay.
So right before it all blew up.
Yep.
So he picked me up from the airport and I was like, "What's going on in your world?" And he said, "Well, I've just debated this guy called Billy Carson. Have you heard of him?" I was like, "No." And you know, the tapes are not being revealed, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I thought nothing of it, and then we just did the conference, and then the next month he's on Joe Rogan. It's amazing what God is up to.
Okay, if you enjoyed that conversation, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and be sure to subscribe to Glenn Scrivener's channel over here. And if you want to see the full extended version of this conversation before it goes out, you can sign up for a free 7-day trial to our Patreon community right here. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.